Okay. So hi guys again. Thanks for coming to session 2. So if you are on this session, make sure to mute yourself so we don't hear all this background noise, and then unmute yourself when you have questions and comments. So again, this is kind of part 2. We're going to discuss entrepreneurship. So first one, we really talked about foundations, right? Like, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? Do you guys feel like you gotta have an idea, or like you feel a little bit more confident about what entrepreneurship is? Abdul, Samuel, Parenque were the 3 in the first one. Abdul, do you feel like you understand a little bit more about what entrepreneurship is from our last conversation? Like, what did you get out of it?
Like, an entrepreneur is someone who has idea in doing business. To my understanding, someone who tries to work on something.
So you're saying an entrepreneur is someone who has an idea or something they want to do and they go out and get it done? It's a little hard to hear you. Say that again?
Yeah. I want to try.
Okay, go ahead, Samuel.
Yeah, entrepreneurship is the way of identifying opportunities in the marketplace.
It's a little hard to hear you. Hi, Zainab.
Yeah, how are you, ma?
Good, how are you?
Thank God, that is everything.
Good, good. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for joining. Okay, Samuel, it was hard to hear you. So can you kind of share what you were saying?
Yeah, I don't know. Are you getting me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, to my own idea, what I understand about entrepreneurship is the way of identifying opportunities in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Seeking opportunities as an entrepreneur or getting things done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a good way of looking at it. Zainab, what do you kind of get from what entrepreneurship is? Or Fariki, Farenke?
Yeah.
Yes,
Hello?
yes, we can hear you good. Can you share what your thoughts on like what an entrepreneur is?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Network. Hello?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you're freezing. All right.
Like,
Good.
to my own understanding, is a person who take out business or businesses in the aim of making taking on financial risk in order to make it. An entrepreneur sets up a business. In the process, that person will also bear risk as well as making profit at the end of it.
Right. So you're saying their goal is to take whatever idea that they have, turn it into some form of business, and then they take on the risk, right?
Yeah, at the same time, there are risks involved.
Right.
At the end, they make profit.
Right. But the goal is hopefully to make profit, but not every entrepreneur's desire is just to make profit. Remember, some people who are more social oriented, they might want to make impact. Other people may want to build a legacy. So everybody's kind of purpose, goals is a little different, right, in terms of what they want to do and why they want to do it in terms of entrepreneurship. So this time around, we're going to talk more about, so we talked the first time about what entrepreneurship is, right? This time I want to talk about like who the entrepreneur is, like what are the skill sets, what are the requirements in terms of themselves that they need to have. I'm going to share this kind of like clip, right? It's one of my favorite. Have you guys ever watched the movie Rocky? Anybody ever heard of Rocky? No, it's a very popular American film. You can find it on YouTube. And yeah, okay. So you've heard of it, Abdul? Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, okay. So it's one of my favorite movies, like the whole, you know, I grew up on Rocky. And there's this kind of one of the movies, it's like a father and son conversation, you know, so I'm gonna share that with you guys. It's one of my favorite clips because I feel like he kind of talks about what it means to be responsible for yourself, and entrepreneurship is really about being responsible for yourself. So let me share my view, or wherever this may be. Okay, let's try. Let me know if you can see my screen in a second. Hopefully you can. Can you see this? We'll wait for Genesis to do it.
Yeah.
You see it? Okay. Can you guys hear this? Can you hear it? Could you hear it?
Can hear it.
You can? You said you can hear
I can't get the sound.
You can hear the sound. Okay, let me try. Okay, share. Okay. Sammy, I'm gonna mute your background. Okay. Can you hear it now?
People see me, but they think of you.
Okay. All right. So this, let me tell you why it's a very important speech, because if you hear what he says, to me, it sets the foundation for being an entrepreneur and like some of the character and the responsibilities you need to understand and take. So this guy right here, he's the son of Rocky. This is the boxer, right? Hi, Genesis.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you too?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us. So we're talking about how in our first session, we really talked about what an entrepreneur is, right? Like, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? And then this session, I want to talk about what are like the characters, what are the things that an entrepreneur has to have and be and become, right? To really be a successful person to the next level. Just saying you're an entrepreneur, just wanting to be an entrepreneur, those things are not enough to being a successful entrepreneur, right? And taking whatever ideas, passions, missions, goals, opportunities you have in your head, in your heart, and making them a reality in the world and making them work for you, right? Making them profitable, making the impact that you want. So I want to share this video clip because it's from this movie called Rocky. I think it's a really powerful conversation between father and son, but mainly what Rocky says about personal responsibility and like how the world and life and your ideas and everything will beat you down is really important. So I'm going to start it over, so we'll watch it.
Living with you, it hasn't been easy. People see me, but they think of you. Now with all this going on, this is going to be worse than ever.
It don't have to be.
No, sure it does.
Why? You got a lot going on, kid.
Oh, what, my last name? That's the reason I got a decent job. That's the reason why people deal with me in the first place. Now I start to get a little ahead. I start to get a little something for myself, and this happens. Now I'm asking you as a favor not to go through with this, okay? This is only gonna end up bad for you, and it's gonna end up bad for me.
You think I'm hurting you?
Yeah, in a way you are.
It's the last thing I ever wanted to do.
I know that's not what you want to do, but that's just the way that it is. Don't you care what people think? Doesn't it bother you that people are making you out to be a joke and that I'm going to be included in that? Do you think that's right? Do you?
You ain't gonna believe this, but you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great to watch you every day was like a privilege. And the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, did you guys hear everything he said?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So what did you get from it, Abdul?
Like actually, Sylvester Sede is trying to tell that kid of his not to relent on whatever people might be saying.
Mm-hmm.
In life, no matter how things get hard, you have to try to be yourself and try to move on and try to achieve what is best for yourself.
That's good. What about you, Zainab? What'd you get from it?
Well, as my own opinion, at times you have to come across some challenges, but you don't have to resort. At least you have to fight very hard, work harder so that in the end you will be successful.
Yeah, great. What about you guys, Samuel, Genesis, Ferenki? What did you guys get from it?
Yeah, as for me, it's about perseverance, how to persevere to the end, about not giving up on situation and problems. To persevere, whatever the situation might be. Rocky in that movie is advising his son to persevere, to care less, to give a damn about what people say, and to focus on his endeavors. This will make him successful.
Okay, what about you, Ferenki or Samuel?
Yeah.
As for me,
Hold on,
I learned
go ahead.
about the self-reliance. You have to be as I said, I learned about you have to be self-reliant. Towards people, you have to be yourself.
Okay, good. What about you, Samuel?
What I learned about self-confidence, like in life, you always need to be well prepared by applying the 4 P's, which is the proper planning prevents problem. So what his father was saying to him was for him to have that self-confidence, that self-belief on himself in order to be achieved in life, you just should have that perseverance in you.
Right.
To be a successful person in life is all about perseverance. It's all about planning. It's all about putting yourself in the right track for you to be achieve your goal. So I learned that perseverance is more needed when it comes to certain implementation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys got it. Like, honestly, I think every one of you said something that makes sense, right? And that's honest, right? So like in the field, the reason I like that clip personally is because I feel like I experienced it and it is real life, right? When you're an entrepreneur, like you rely on yourself, number one. So the world, the client, the customer, the partner, whoever it is, they may have a problem with your product, with you, with your service, whatever. But you have to know number one, you need to know why you're doing this for yourself, right? Like, why are you pushing yourself to get there? So that self-reliance, self-confidence, all the things about yourself, you have to start working on it now, not when you graduate college, not when you start a business. Work on that piece now. That's why it's so important to like read, watch, documentaries, anything that will help you build your own self-confidence, anything that will help you understand yourself, your skills better, anything that will make you better, because those tools are going to come to play later, right? Because it's not easy. And I think, last time, Genesis, you talked about just being in Sierra Leone and just the challenges from family, from everything else, responsibilities, all of those things. There's a lot of kind of obstacles. There's obstacles already in your way. And people will tell you can't do this, focus on this, or people will expect you to do something else. But you got to really focus on, like, if you believe in something, you work hard at it, you find the resources. If you come across an obstacle, you're going to get hit. Like when he said, you're going to get knocked down to your knees. And it's not about, can you get knocked down? Everybody's going to get knocked down. It's really how many times are you going to get back up? How many times are you going to keep going? For every no, you're going to get 100 no before you get one yes, right? You're going to get some horror stories, some bad experiences before you get success. I don't know any entrepreneur, zero. And I think you heard from Hassan last time about all of the obstacles that he constantly dealt with. You'll hear from Sylvester today about his obstacles. You'll hear from Roland next week. You'll hear from Ola. You'll hear from all of these guys and women who've basically built businesses that make profits, right? In very tough markets. They're not easy markets. They're not the West where there's a bunch of resources. They have the same challenges you guys do around internet, electricity, and everything else. They have the same challenges around policies, governments, and all of those things. They have the same challenges culturally, same challenges around, the way people think about entrepreneurs. So, I wanted to start with that because I thought it was really important. So I want to talk more about, while we're waiting, I want to talk more about, like, who are entrepreneurs? What are like some of the skill sets, some of the parts about who they are? So what do you guys think? What are certain characters? So here's a few, right, that are what's considered generally accepted about entrepreneurs, like original thinkers, risk takers. They take responsibility for their own actions. They're capable, they're confident, they set very high goals and enjoy working towards them. Academically, they have a lot of kids that are have parents who are self-employed. They get to see it in the family, so they themselves eventually go into employment. Others say firstborns because they're born to, firstborns are usually taught to like lead. Others say between 30 to 50, well-educated. All of these are, not serious. I consider them more academic and patterns. But what are characteristics that you guys personally think make up entrepreneurs? Like, what are skills that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it's important you possess? And you see it across the board from most entrepreneurs you guys see. Abdul?
Yeah, I didn't get you.
No, I was saying, what are kind of like common traits, common themes, common characteristics of entrepreneurs that you see? So we're trying to understand today, like, who is an entrepreneur? What is not what, but who is an entrepreneur? What are the characters? You talked a little bit about it, self-reliance, confidence, things like that. But besides those, what are other characteristics that you see in entrepreneurs that are successful that you know about?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Entrepreneurs have so many characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the key characters an entrepreneur should be well pleased to accept is the risk taking.
He's what?
Should
Say
be
that again?
Is the risk taking. The risk taking an entrepreneur should have motivation. Risk taking, motivation, those are all the characters an entrepreneur should have. So one of the key characters or characteristics an entrepreneur should have is the risk of accepting things to done. So in all cases, I get me.
Yeah, so you said accepting things as what?
Is the risk taking, accepting things that should be done.
Okay, that he doesn't know or she doesn't
accept the risk. An entrepreneur should accept the risk. He should have motivation. Those are all the characters. Motivation. The entrepreneur should have motivation. Should have negotiation spirits.
Okay.
Delegation. Those are all the characters an entrepreneur should have for him to be successful in his business. He should accept the risk in life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? What other skills do you guys? We're going to take these off and we're going to add your skills. What other skills or characters you think an entrepreneur should have? These are it. These are the only skills you guys see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Talking of skills, we have different sets of skills when it comes to entrepreneurial skills. We have personal skills, inbuilt skills, inbuilt skills, those that you learned out, and personal skills, those the traits that you have, that you possess, something that makes you different, something that differentiates you from others. So entrepreneur need to build on some skills, why some skills are within the entrepreneur itself. So when you talk of skills, one of the key primary skills an entrepreneur should have is communication skills. Communication skills is very core. It's one of the main principles, because in our society today, when you open your mouth, it defines the person, it defines, our society. Communication is key. As when you start to talk, people will evaluate you based on your communication skills, how best you can communicate with others, and also social skills, that is how to relate. Social skill, that is social intelligence, which is one of the most one of the paramount intelligence in our society, the social intelligence, that is to identify social things in society, how to evaluate social behavior, your social relation, that is your relation with others, and also human development, career development. An entrepreneurship is a skill. That is, an entrepreneur should discipline himself on career development, how to develop a career. That is, structure himself about how to go about doing businesses, how to develop himself personally, because a man best mirror is himself. That is, a man is the best person to evaluate himself. He is the one to determine what skills are lacking, what things are lacking, and try to evaluate and try to see how best he can substitute these skills that are lacking into himself. So a man best evaluator is himself. So communication, social skills, and human career development skills, these are some of the keys that are paramount as an entrepreneur.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Abdul or whoever else was on? I think that's...
An entrepreneur have to endeavor.
Okay.
An entrepreneur have to endeavor. They must have patience as well. Because if an entrepreneur doesn't have patience, at times they have problems with their partners or customers. So whatever things that comes your way, you as an entrepreneur have to endeavor, have to be in that capacity, or have that capacity wherein you'll be able to patient and try to work well with your partners or customers for you not to have problem.
Okay, those are good. Any others that you guys think?
Yeah, what I learned, there are two main skills.
Okay.
There are two main skills, which is the general management skills and the people management skills, which we have different types of skills under the people management skills. We talk of the communication skills, leadership skills. We have critical thinking skills. Those are all the skills under people management skills, because you interact with people. So by interacting with people, you should have communication skills, leadership skills. You should have motivation, negotiation, and delegation skills, as long as you are working with people. So people management skills, simply, you should have all those 5 skills, which is communication, leadership, negotiation, motivation, and delegation skills. And you talk of the general management skills.
Okay.
Under the general management skills, we have different types of skills as well. Because the general management skills, we have what we call time management, which is you should be well conscious of your time, right? And we have project management skills. An entrepreneur should have that thinking how to create or how to bring projects on board. By writing projects, you should have written that you should be good in your writing, right? So under the general management, we have financial skill. Those are all skills an entrepreneur should have. Financial skills. There are certain areas you are going in order to accomplish your mission. You just need to disburse. You just need to give some token, right? Which is in that area. I talk of what the social cultural management skills, right? The social, the way of behave. If an entrepreneur wants to create or you want to bring up a business in these certain areas, there are certain people, they believe on their waiting, their culture, they believe on their waiting, their tradition. So as an entrepreneur, you should have all those skills. You should have that social cultural skill, how to interact with people, in the sense, how to motivate them, in the sense where and how to communicate in order for you to be successful in doing your business in that particular area. So those are all the skills, critical thinking skills. And as an entrepreneur, you should think of, I established my business, let me just 2021, and my 2021, my business has flourished in a way. So if you approach the other year and yet you see your business going down, you should have it in that critical thinking. You should have it in that strategic thinking and planning of putting your business in order. So you should have it in strategic thinking and planning skills. Those are all the skills. You have different skills an entrepreneur should portray in order to be successful in his business.
Right. Okay. So let me ask a question. These are all really great lists of what entrepreneurs should have, right? But the reality is, when you start something, when you have an idea, do you have all these skills to start with? Are you great in people management, general management? Is your patience great? Or is your discipline great? Do you think you have to be great or good at all of these things to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, talking of all these skills, just as I said, some skills are inbuilt skills,
Right.
You are born with it. They are in your genetic makeup. They are in your genetic makeup. So some skills, some people are born with, like for communication, some people are very good in communication. Some people are good in social relationship, and some people are good with what? Intelligence. That is IQ, intelligence, intuition. Some people are very good. So when it comes to starting your own business, some skills you develop them. That is why I talked earlier about career development. Some skills you develop them, and some skills are inbuilt within you. So you just need to mitigate between these two, career inbuilt skills and the one that you learned, and try to see how best you can collate them to make you a better person.
Right. So exactly. So these are great. These skills all, at some point, you will be faced with the challenge of having to deal with all of these skills, right? But not immediately, right? So you start off with what skills, you start off with what skills you have, right? And typically you start off, there's two kinds of skills. There's like your soft skills, which are what you said, Genesis, and even what you said, Samuel, which are like, your people management, social skills, things that like you have a gift in, right? Some people are great talkers, great presenters. Other people are great salespeople naturally. They can sell to people, they're confident. Other people, they're helpers, they support people, they bring people together. So those are your soft skills. So you have to understand, that's why I said it all starts with you, because technically you have a lot of skills already, but a lot of people don't invest the time or the energy to understand their skills and to grow the skills they naturally have. Then you have more of the hard skills, right?
So now I don't.
Okay, sorry. Can you guys hear me? You didn't hear anything I said, right?
Yeah, we didn't hear anything. That's how I was.
Okay. So I was like talking. I'm like, what? What's going on? I can't. Okay. All right. So
Hello?
yes. Okay. All right. Well, we'll start over. So what I was saying is, just to generalize what I was saying, right? There's two kinds of skills. There's hard skills, which is more technical. What you're doing in school is your hard skills. If you're in agriculture, if you're in education, if you're in research, if whatever. Universities are more technical educators, right? A lot of universities, you don't go through a course where it's like, let me teach you your soft skills. They don't go, you might do assessments where you learn like, what am I good at? And some things you already know. Some people, they're great with people. That's a soft skill. Other people are great communicators, like you said, Genesis. Other people are, great managers of people. They can bring people together. They're great leaders, like you said, Samuel. So you got to figure out and invest time in yourself, whether it's taking assessments, whether it's figuring out what you like about yourself, what other people tell you you're good at, or even what you know naturally you're good at, to figure that out and develop it more. Because the more you develop it, the more you have core skills. Then you have your hard skills, what you're learning at university. Most universities teach you the hard, that's what you're getting a degree for computer science, for, you know, engineering, for agriculture research, for, you know, whatever the thing is, you know, education wise, that's really your hard skill. Then the rest of it is really skills that you kind of build around the way. So like for me, when I started a company, I don't have a background in finance at all, right? Because my degree, I have two degrees, and my first is a political science degree. My second is a foreign policy, kind of like international studies master's. So my world is really more on that international politics, but that's not technically what I do. I don't work in policy. I have a business focusing on trainings, entrepreneurship, focusing on working with youth, things like that. And those are things that I naturally built up because I was always good at, like, I like people, I like training people, I like helping people. So I took some of the soft skills I already had and built a business around it. And then I had to learn, oh man, finance is very important. So, and then I realized, like, I don't have time to go and get a third degree just on accounting. So instead, what I decided to do is I learned some of the basic things, right? Like I learned different financial models, and then I bring in a financial accountant or a CPA, you know, or I bring in friends who are really good at math and accounting, and I say, hey, help me. Same thing, law. Everybody at some point is going to have to deal with a lawyer, right? For contracts, for any of these things. Those are skills that, you know, you're not going to have the time to go to law school and be a great lawyer. That just doesn't have time. But what you can do is there's resources online on how to write contracts, there's templates. And then you may have a friend that's a lawyer, or there might be at your school, maybe the law school will let you review, you know, other students that are graduating from law school in the third year or something. They might be able to help you with the degree, right, with your contracts. So you can take some of those things that you're not good at, and you can find resources to connect them as you build your business. But the number one skill to me is all the skills for me as an entrepreneur is all the skills that come with yourself, right? Like if you read Bill Gates, if you read Amazon, if you read Dangote, all these people, the number one thing that makes them them is they're very confident and very sure about what they're doing, why they're doing it, and they know nobody's going to stop them. Maybe the policy says no today, they find a different way. Maybe tomorrow becomes another problem, then they find a different way. So they're never, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like their best thing, Dangote has all these different things, but Dangote is not you know, all these different degrees in agriculture. He doesn't have all of this. What he has is a mission, a goal, and a desire to be the best in the marketplace. And he takes smart people over time and brings them together to make sure that from here to here, whatever little roadblock we're going to find. So he never stops. Same thing with any other person that's successful. Is like the video we watched in the beginning. It's, you know, all these people get knocked down, they eventually come back up because they have a strong why. They know exactly what they're doing and they get around it. They're always adapting, right? So those are kind of the core situations. And I think we can say a lot about different, I'm just checking on this guy. And I think we can say a lot about the situations in terms of what are all the different skill sets someone needs. But I always tell young people, especially, like, focus on yourself, like build yourself up. If you don't have an idea yet, you don't have a company yet, like figure it out, figure yourself out, and then keep an eye out for what are challenges. A lot of times the problem we solve is the problem that we're facing. So if you're facing it, the reality is probably like more people are facing it. A lot of like the big people, like Uber started why? Like, does anybody know how Uber started or like what problem they were solving? Is there Uber there?
No, I had an idea about Uber. It's all about transportation.
Right.
How best to reduce the time of waiting. That is service costing. Reduce the provide a service and reduce the cost of waiting. Just like the time you undertake to secure a taxi or a drive to wherever your destination might be. So Uber is a service rendering. It's all about services, all about creating services at the best minimal, at the best optimal use of the time and of the service provided. So Uber is not in Sierra Leone,
Okay.
There is no
What's it?
we had.
No problem. What is in Sierra Leone that is a very well-known company and it's kind of young, it's not super old.
For transportation?
For any industry. Let's talk about what's
for
in Sierra Leone.
Like we have most of the industry in Sierra Leone. Some are agricultural based, some are technological based. I can recall we have different sets of organization. It all depends. We have transportation, we have transportation. People who are going into transport business, they try to form a company like Million is the boss store. It's all about all. When he like for instance, we have these tourists that do come into the country. They move the tourists and people here and there. It's all about all. We have Million Tours. We have Sarah Aka, which is a poultry base. We have different organizations. So I don't know which one you want as an example.
Any of them will work.
What you're asking for an example?
I think what I'm asking for is what are local examples of businesses that started locally and they succeeded? Like, what did they do? What did they disrupt? Did they come in because they saw a problem? Did they come in because there was an opportunity? Like, why did they start there? And why are they successful? Based on your observations, right?
One of the most, like in Sierra Leone, one of the most renowned businessmen in Sierra Leone is Fawaz Building Material. Fawaz Building Material all about construction basis, try to contract people, try to embark on construction process, and also supplying the building material. There was a point in time when urbanization come into place and people the city start expanding. Fawaz saw it as an opportunity to go into a building, construction process. So he started out as a mere building material shop, Now he's one of the most successful building in terms of construction in the country, Though there were some challenges, but he saw the opportunity of urbanization. That is the mass expansion of the city. Freetown was fastly growing, and construction, people have been going into construction basis. That is how to construct the houses. So Fawaz saw that as an opportunity, as a business opportunity. Actually, say, okay, the city is growing and people are going to construction businesses, real estate, hotels, and other sort of construction. So as a business person, let me try to expand my business. Let me try to exploit this opportunity in construction. So Fawaz started, what he did was expand his business, try to come with other partners, try to build shops. He's very successful. He has shop in almost all of the districts in Sierra Leone and on the provinces, Try to see how best he can expand and also diversify and also build a relationship with some of the estates by supplying, like Regimina, Sierra Leone, CDR. These are estate bases. Try to bridge a relationship between Regiminal Grey and some of the estates and try to be supplying. And also, he had a good relationship with the government, though, because most of the government do undertake some construction process in terms of roads, schools, and housing. So what he do, he try to be in contact with them, be supplying them building materials for construction purposes. So Fawaz is a typical example of a successful business in Sierra Leone, like housing. Because housing in every state or in every county is a big problem, and not only in Sierra Leone,
right.
in the world. You know, we see the exorbitant way, how housing is going astronomically. So housing is a big problem. So for us, housing and construction as a problem, and they exploited it. You know, sometimes I do sit down and evaluate, look at the steps and processes. You know, I think this man is very smart.
Yeah.
Housing was a problem and a solution. Yeah.
Right.
Housing was a problem because housing is affecting each and everybody, almost everybody. You know, housing. Because if you look at the rent rate, the loan, you know, it's very, very costly. You know, to rent a place in Freetown, like for a month, you have to have 1,000 or 2,000. Sometimes they do, even some of the people that do post this housing prices online or loan or building processes, you know, some people do. Wow, you know, even in European countries, you don't pay for for rent. So how can we pay $1,000 or $2,000 for a month for a new place? So housing was a big problem and is a problem in Sierra Leone. The problem have not yet been solved. It's a problem also. So if I'm an entrepreneur, I'll try to readjust, see that as an opportunity. Just try to alter. You know, try to slightly bring, you know, try to modify Fawa's ideas, try to build upon Fawa's ideas, see Fawa's, exploit Fawa's businesses, you know, try to modify it and try to exploit it as a business opportunity.
Yeah. Let me be honest, right? Living, and you make a good point, Genesis, right? He saw it as a problem. Housing is not a problem just for him, but it's a problem for everybody. In the US, there's really no new problem, right? All we're doing is changing little things and defining, because internet, we have fast internet, energy, everything is here. So it's a competitive market because everything is already here. All people are doing is adding value. That's why here they're always like, add value. And on the continent, there's a need for everything right now, right? Housing needs, education needs. So, and the government's not going to do it. Let's just be honest. The government's not going to solve all your problem. If you wait for the government, it's going to be forever, right? But you guys can solve it, literally, right? You guys can be like Sylvester. Hey, Sylvester, thanks for You guys can see a problem locally that you're facing, your community's facing, the country is facing, and you can start solving it. You can work together. You're at a university where all of you guys clearly are connected to each other, right? And there are now more resources, more access to the internet, I mean, it's not the easiest, I recognize that, I understand that. But one of the first things you can do is recognize what are the local challenges, right? That I'm facing, my neighbors are facing. And then if you're passionate about it, you have energy around it, it's gonna be hard, it's not gonna be easy. Nobody's gonna say it's easy, right? But you guys have the skills. Once you kind of understand yourself, your motivations, your why, then you can start. So I want to go ahead and kind of transition to our guest speaker piece of it. So we have Sylvester here, Sylvester Sede. He's actually a CEO and managing director of Silverflame Media. It's a media and communication house in Nigeria. I met Sylvester years ago, and I met him when he was like kind of developing it out, and now it's turned, they have a annual food conference. They have conferences all over Nigeria. They do a lot of media publications and events for different agencies, for private businesses, for NGOs. So hey, Sylvester, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Helen. How are you doing?
Good, good. Feel free to share your video so we can see you.
Yeah, I'm doing so now.
All right, great.
Oh, okay, yeah,
this is
yeah, good to see you too.
So
great job you're doing here.
Good. These are some of the young men in the program. I think others couldn't join due to internet or other issues, but this is being recorded so that there's a WhatsApp group, so we should share the video there for those who are not able to physically make it. So if you want to go ahead and, the rest of this time is really yours. So if you want to share your story, share your screen, let me know. If you have any presentation, I can make you a co-host.
Okay, no, I'm not able, I was not able to do a presentation.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I just came from another meeting. First of all, I want to appreciate the opportunity to share the story. It's a story I like talking about. I talked about it yesterday in an event yesterday. And The guys I see here, they are more like my brothers. I spent some time in Sierra Leone in 2011.
Oh, nice.
So I know a bit about Sierra Leone. I spent some time in Freetown, a wonderful place. So in 2011 was about when I started exploring my abilities in the media sector, especially. So I graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering. But when I left the university, I discovered that I wanted something else and not engineering. So after 3 months of taking a good look of the things around me, I took a course in the broadcast industry. I spent some time in the classroom learning about broadcasting, learning about the media. And when I came out of the media, or when I came out of the broadcast school, I immediately got an employment with a twin broadcast station. It was a radio and TV station, housed in one. And now, talking about the story, as an entrepreneur, you need to have a plan. That's the first thing. So I had always wanted to be my own boss. But I got an advice from an uncle that said, before you become your own boss, go and be an employee. So even when I went into the broadcast house, I had a plan. My plan was to spend at least 3 years here, and then I start off my business. So I got into the broadcast house. The first thing I did, because I didn't have a background or my degree wasn't in communications or mass communications, or as the case may be. The first thing I did in the broadcast house was to understudy everybody's job. So I took my time to learn everybody's job. I went in there as a presenter, as an anchor for radio, a radio presenter, but I ended up being much of everything. So I became a radio presenter. I became the newscaster for radio, the newscaster for television, a presenter for television, a reporter for television and radio. I became a marketer. I became a producer. I produced programs for radio, produced for television, and I could do all of that in about 2 years. So in my third year, I got a call from an NGO. They were looking for a radio consultant, and I was recommended. I was recommended by the manager of the station where I worked because I could do the job. So I got that job, and in 2 years working as a media personnel, I became a consultant. So I started consulting for the NGO, and I consulted for them for just 1 year, and I put my plan into motion. Now, this is what I did. When I started my business, I started without capital. There was no money anywhere. All I had was my normal savings, the salaries I earned, but I had no capital. I had no office. It was just me, but I had a plan. My plan was simple. I know broadcasting. I know the media. I know everything to do in the media stations, the radio, and the TV houses. But all I do not have is a radio and a TV station. So I said to myself, I can actually produce all the kinds of programs they produce on radio and television. I can produce jingles. I can produce advert materials. I can talk to customers to come to me, and I take them to the stations. So my business when I started was I get my clients, I produce their advert materials for them. I buy airtime for them on radio and television. The TV stations and the radio stations pay me a certain percentage for bringing the jobs to them. And the clients who I get businesses from, they pay me their percentage for taking their businesses to the station. So I started more like a middleman between the broadcast stations and the clients. But it was a difficult path because there were weeks and there were months that you would have just one client, you would have just two clients, and you keep wondering, am I actually on the right path? Am I supposed to be doing this? You go broke, you'll have no money to do a lot of things. There are a lot of things I wanted to do. I had a big plan. My plans are still big. I've not achieved a lot of them yet, But part of how I handled those failures, well, I wouldn't call them failures. They were more like the times when I had to sit back and reevaluate what I'd gone into, if I really wanted to stay on that path. So what I did then was to be flexible. Was to be flexible in being the media person that I was being then. And that's what comes with being an entrepreneur. So being a successful entrepreneur means you have to be flexible with your plans. I went into business without a business plan. That was a mistake. I didn't know that then, but I went into business without a business plan. So what I now did was that what now happened was I discovered that not a lot of the advertising agencies and the media companies were looking at small businesses. So a lot of small businesses were not advertising. They had no media presence because nobody thought they could afford media buying. So I left all the big clients that I was going after and I went after the smaller ones. So there were lots of SMEs, businesses were starting left, right, and center, and I sold them special packages that were affordable for them on the radio and TV stations. So what I did was I go to the radio and TV stations and I let them know that, oh, there's a huge market out there, a huge market of business people who do not have media presence. They do not come to you because they can't afford your rate and your airtime. But with the package I'm offering, if you would accept it, they will be able to come on your stations to advertise. And that was how the business started picking up again. So I had clusters of small businesses in different parts of the town where I live, and I would group them into different sectors. And instead of buying the airtime as individuals, we now buy the airtime collectively. So on a particular stretch of window on radio or television, instead of advertising for just one big brand, the station is advertising for 5 small brands, 6 small brands, 7 small brands. Moving on from there, I also got calls from NGOs who wanted to be on radio, they wanted to be on television, and they wanted someone to help them put their media package together. I would come in there and I would help them package their products. So that was how I started. Along the line, of course, technology, internet, I had to restructure the business somehow. I had to make it a bit more encompassing. I was looking for more streams of revenue. That was the most important thing. I was looking for more streams of revenue. So, and then I had experience in production. I have experience in TV production. I have experience in radio production. And so I thought, okay, instead of just selling advertising for SMEs, can I also start a production business where we can produce for TV, produce for radio? And if I tell you all of this, I did from my sitting room. I didn't have an office because I couldn't afford an office as a dad. I did from my house. So what I started them producing TV programs for churches. So one thing you also need to understand is your market. Yes, the market you're servicing, your location, and the people who need those services you provide at your location. I looked around and I saw that there were lots of churches. And a lot of the churches wanted media presence. So I went to the churches. As an entrepreneur, you have to be bold. You have to be brave at any time. You need to be sure that you can walk up to anyone at any time and sell to them what you can offer. So I did a whole lot of marketing across churches, letting them know what we can offer, how we can bring them to this, how we can make them visible in the media, on radio, on television. And of course, not all of them bought into it, but a couple of them bought into it. And we became their official go-to media people for production and for airtime buying for radio and television. Moving on, part of what has given me the level of success I have today is also because I can be very, very sensitive, and I know how to grab opportunities when I see them. That is one thing you need to hold on to as an entrepreneur. Learn to grab opportunities. When you are when you're having a conversation with someone, the person says something and you're able to pick something out of what the person is saying and build on it. So one day I was discussing with a friend, and boom, it told me about billboards. I know billboards take different forms in different parts of the world. I know in the US it's quite expensive to advertise on billboards. I don't know how it is in Sierra Leone, but in Nigeria it's a big market. And then he mentioned that, oh, he just said something about billboards, and he hit me dead. That yes, my business of advertising can actually go outdoor. We can actually go into billboard advertising. And my next point of call was, okay, do I have the right licensing? Because in Nigeria, for you to own billboards and advertise on billboards as a third-party advertiser, you need certain licenses. So what I did was to look at the criteria I needed to get the license for the billboards, and I had a little savings then that I put together, and I got an engineer, and we constructed our first billboard. Our first billboard was a mini size, and for about 6 months, we didn't have a client to use that billboard, so just had it there. I looked for clients to occupy the space, but I couldn't get them. But that was the beginning of a breakthrough in my business. That was actually where things started changing, because it made me look into the billboard market. So I did my research in the billboard market, and I looked at the stream of income that it could give a business like mine. I did my research. I tried taking some loans to construct billboards in different parts of the country, but the loans didn't work out. So I had to strategize. Okay, how do I actually use my own funds to construct these billboards? And still, I couldn't get the funds. So what I now did was I looked for owners of billboards, people who own billboards already, and I asked them to help to give me their billboards to manage. The good thing was a lot of them were not in the same city where I was. They were in Abuja, in Lagos, and I live in Bayelsa. So I reached out to them, and coincidentally, most of them agreed that, okay, since you are on ground, manage our billboards for us. So it was simple business for me. If the billboards were going for $300, let me use dollars so I don't confuse with my currency. If the billboards were going for $300, I sell the billboards for $400. I sell the space for $400, and then I remit $300 to the owners of the billboard, and I have $100 as my revenue, as my profit. I did a lot of saving with that process, and I built another billboard. Now, while I was growing, I had moved from serving just SMEs to looking at how I can actually serve some bigger corporations, some larger companies in Nigeria and in the city where I live. So what I did then was I put together a profile, a brief profile of my company, what we do, the people we serve, the people we have been able to reach out to. And I sent over 100 copies to different companies across Nigeria. And coincidentally, one of the biggest firms in Nigeria called me. Yeah, it's called the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. So Nigeria is known for oil, and these guys are the guys who they control the oil companies in Nigeria. So I got a call from them, and I went in. So they asked me for a presentation, and I went there alone. And to let you know that while I was in all of this, I did it as a one-man squad. I didn't have an office. I didn't have staff. I was on my own. So I went there for the presentation, and they asked me to see the things I had done, the project I had carried out, and I presented all of it to them, and they were impressed. Now, another aspect you need to take note of as an entrepreneur is you have to be creative at all times. You need to be creative at all times. If you meet the client and the client tells you that, oh, whatever you're selling to me, somebody else is already doing it for me. You need to be smart enough to give or to present another angle to the client. Present a different form of value to the client that the client hasn't seen or the client does not get from the other consultants or the other service provider. And that was what I did with the board. So when I got there and I presented, and the head of the corporate communications, then he now said, "Oh, yes, beautiful ideas, young man. We like your presentation. We like the things you've done. But we have someone who does all of this for us. Is there anything?" This question was, "Is there anything you can do differently?" And instantly I thought, I said, "Yes, sir. What your client does is to serve the national market. What I can do for you is to serve the grassroots markets in peace and in peace meets in different parts of Nigeria. So your client, the person who provides the service for you right now focuses nationally. What I want to do is to break down what it does in small bits and spread them across grassroots in Nigeria." And they said, "Oh, that is a wonderful idea. We have never thought of this before. Go bring your proposal." That was an entry into my biggest breakthrough in my career right now. Because the NCDMB, they've been my client since 2014, and they are still our biggest client till I speak to you today. So what we now did with the NCNB, with the funds that came in from NCNB, so as an entrepreneur who starts a business, you need to be able to see the end from the beginning. You should have a plan at all times. Okay, what do you want to do? What do you want the business to look like in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years? So that helps you to manage funds, so that when funds come in, you know exactly where you are channeling those funds to. I have people who started business with me, but they built houses, they buy different kinds of cars, but their businesses are suffering, and that's not how you want to do business. When you make profit from business, what you think of is how to channel those profits back into the business to make the business grow. So when these big clients, when we landed them, we were serving them from just one angle. But when the profits started coming from their businesses, from the deals we do with them, what I did with the profits was to expand the kinds of services we can provide for them. So they made the first payment, they made the second payment, and I kept saving the monies. And when it was enough, I got some product from China. Now, what these products would do was to help us give them platforms in different parts of the Niger Delta. So I live in the Niger Delta in Nigeria. You must have heard about the Niger Delta. It's quite popular. We are troublesome people in Nigeria. So I live in part of Niger Delta where they operate. So what we did was to acquire indoor advertising screens. So as at this point, we had our legs in the outdoor advertising sector, but I wanted more with the indoor advertising sector. So what we did was to get indoor advertising screens for out of home advertising. I bought 4 of those units, and we placed them in large malls, high traffic malls in different parts of the Niger Delta. And I went back to my very big clients and I said, okay, I already provided service for you, but there is another service that we can still provide for you. You could reach a lot more people this way. I brought pictures and videos of what we had in our different malls, and they said, perfect, this is what we want. and they asked me, can we be the exclusive users of this screen? We can pay for them. We can pay for them. Why not? So we got into an agreement, we got into a contract, and they signed the deal, and we are serving them in that sector. Why, all of this can happen because I had a plan. I had a plan of what to do with resources. I had a plan of where I want to drive the business to. I had a plan of the kind of people I want to meet in business. And we're making progress from one stage to another. Now, so my company, Silverflame Media, is a company you can call an embodiment of the media. So from advertising, from training, advertising, media productions, filmmaking, broadcasting, broadcast management, all of it is what we can give to you. And we are taking it step by step. So part of the entire plan was also to have our own radio and television station. So sometime in 2017, we launched an online radio station, an online radio platform. But after a few months, I shut it down because it wasn't what I really wanted. And while we're still trying to get the kinds of funds and monies we need to set up an actual radio station or a TV station, I thought we could actually use the internet as a means to reach out to people. I mean, the internet is big these days. You have everything on the internet, and that's one thing we also need to take advantage of as an entrepreneur. I have a lot of friends who they make millions of naira every week just with the internet. So right now, I'm sure Ellen, you saw. I keep sending you messages. You saw. So in April 2021, this year, we opened our first TV studio, and yeah, thank you very much. Now, yesterday I was in a meeting and someone asked me, how were you able to afford that kind of TV studio in Bayelsa? Bayelsa is where I live. Bayelsa is not a very big place in Nigeria, so it's assumed to be a small city where nothing happens. So the question was, how were you able to afford such level of TV studio in Bayelsa? And my question was simple. I had a plan. I keep talking about plan because you must have a plan to succeed. I had a plan, and my plan was to open a TV studio in 2024. My plan was to open a TV studio in 2024, but I have a TV studio already in 2021. The difference is my TV studio would broadcast online and not via satellite. Eventually, we'll get to the level where we broadcast via satellite. But what we are working on with the platform is more digital. It's something we are working on. I can't talk about it now because it's in the pipeline. We are working on it. What we're trying to get something similar to Netflix. Yeah, something similar to Netflix, but in a different form that we can stream African content. So my brothers from Sierra Leone, I may be coming to Sierra Leone for people who can give us more content very soon. So all of this is just part of my story. I did not study mass communication. I did not study any form of media in my university days. But people are surprised how I moved from mechanical engineering to being the big time media person in the media sector where I am today. In 2019, when the governor of my state was running for election, my company was single-handedly picked out to run the media campaign for the governor. Yeah, then it was contested for governor, but eventually it won the governorship. I won the governorship, and they offered me a political appointment. I was going to reject the appointment, but Someone said, no, do not reject the political appointment. Yes, we know you're a businessman. We know you're a businessman. You want to stay a businessman, but for some reasons, take up the political appointment. So I'm not just a businessman. I'm also a political appointee. Part of why I was not able to prepare the slide for you this morning was also because the governor had a media chat this morning. So I came in straight from the media chat to this meeting. Now, talking about doing a bit more. So my company is not just a media company. We are also an event management company. And that's where you have events like the Food and Arts Festival, which Ellen talked about. So the Food and Arts Festival, of course, you should know about festivals. Festivals are not they're not original these days. So I think I was on my way back from New York in 2017. In February 2017, I was flying to Egypt from from New York to Egypt, from Egypt back to Nigeria. Okay, so I think I landed in Nigeria, in Lagos, and I saw a flyer. The flyer was the GT Bank Food Festival. And I was like, oh, okay, GT Bank has a food festival. That's nice. So I did my research and I saw what they did and what they were doing. And my initial thought was, okay, I want to export this kind of festival to where I stay. So that was what gave birth to the Bielsa Food and Drinks Festival in 2017. So I saw that in February, in November we had our first festival in Bielsa, and that's what I said earlier about looking at things and picking lessons from them. So in 2017 we had our first Food and Drinks Festival. After the first edition, which Ellen knew about, the following year, on the second year of the festival, the British Arts Council called me. They saw the festival online and they called me and they asked if I had any form of training in festival management. I said no, and they enlisted me for their training in Lagos and Ghana. So I went for the festival training. So I'm not just a media consultant, I'm also a festival consultant trained by the British Arts Council. So in 2019, we had to rebrand the festival to what is now called the Bielsa Food and Arts Festival. So we want to be able to use the festival to reach out to artists, not just in our locality, but outside our locality. So the festival is a platform where musicians, comedians, dancers, they come together to showcase their skills, to export their talents, and then where people will sell food, people into the food business, food entrepreneurs, they come to showcase some of their best kinds of dishes in at the festival. And we have last year was our biggest festival so far. It was our biggest edition because we had people from neighboring states trooping in. We had our venue completely filled up with people. And part of what we have also done with the food festival is also to grow young entrepreneurs in the food business. So there are people who started out their food business at the festival as a trial to see how people will accept their brand. So they come to the festival, they try out their brand for the first time, and after the festival, if they get the kind of response that they expect, they go into business. So we have like over, since we started the festival business, our record shows that over 20 food businesses started from our food festival in 4 years. So these are the kinds of impacts we've been taking. And finally, I want to say that as a businessman or as an entrepreneur, there are a few things you do not want to joke with. Number one, have a plan. I don't joke with a plan. Have a plan. Have a business plan. So 3 years into the business that I started, I had to go back to develop a business plan, a proper business plan, and that we follow step by step. But take note, your plan, your business plan must be flexible. It needs to be flexible enough to fit in to the time that you are, to the people you serve, but have a plan. Number two, you need a lot of integrity to grow your business. You need a lot of integrity. I do not joke with my integrity. I know the phrase that says honesty is the best policy is quite popular, but a lot of people do not still believe it. But I believe honesty is the best policy. Try to be as honest as possible in business. It's a currency on its own. In fact, it's capital on its own. I know how much my integrity has brought me. There were times, okay, I didn't tell you this part of the story. When we engaged with the big corporation I talked about in Nigeria, their form of operation is simple. They would not fund you to go execute a particular contract. You'll have to do the contract to their satisfaction. You have to fund it from your pocket to their satisfaction before they pay you. How I was able to scale through that level of my business was because of my integrity. So when they gave us our first job with them was about 1.5 million naira, which is about $3,000 now. I didn't have the money to execute that contract. So what I did was to bank on my relationship and my network. So while you are keeping your integrity in check, also keep your relationships with people in check and your network. You need a network of people to actually move up in business. So what I did was I reached out to my network. I reached out to people who I had done business with before. And because they could trust me, they gave me what I needed on the trust and the promise that I was going to pay them. And of course, when it was time to pay them their monies, I paid them their money. There are people till date that I can call and say, I need 5 million naira, I need 10 million naira to execute a business, and I'll pay you back in 2 weeks, I'll pay you back in 3 weeks. And without hesitation, they will send those monies to me. I will finish my business with it. When I get my profit and I get that capital back, I send it back to them. So you need a lot of integrity in doing business. So your plan, have a business plan, keep your integrity in check, and you need to be consistent. So being an entrepreneur in Nigeria, we say no be beans. It's not an easy job. It has a lot of ups, and then it has a lot of downs. There are times you want to give up, you want to say no, I want to go look for a job and leave what I'm doing because you're not getting the kinds of monies you expect, you're not getting the kinds of responses you expect. But you have to be consistent. You have to keep on doing what you are doing. At any point, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, consistency is key. One thing people know me for is consistency. You have to be known for a particular thing. So talking about consistency doesn't just help to build your brand, your business. It helps to build you as a brand. And sometimes people come to your business because of you as a brand. I don't know how the social media works in Sierra Leone, but I'm sure it's the same, it works everywhere. But in Nigeria, if you are a brand on the social media, whatever kind of business you run is successful because you get your customers, you get your clients, as long as you're a brand. So you want to be a brand. People want to know you for a particular thing. If you're in the media sector, let them know you as the man in the media. If you're a farmer, let them know you as a farmer. Let them know you. Apart from being the media sector, I'm partners with different kinds of other businesses. I have a partnership in the poultry farm. I have a partnership in a chicken outlet. I have a partnership in a sports bar. But those are not the things people know me for. I go to this place as a silent partner because I want to make money as a businessman. So I just go, okay, whatever kind of partnership it is, we sign it, and then you run the business. I want to be a silent partner because people cannot know me for different things at different times. So you need to be able to carve that niche for yourself. Be consistent and build your brand. Let people know you for a particular thing. I heard someone talking about housing. I think that should be Genesis. Genesis, right? Yeah, I heard Genesis talking about housing, property management, and as the case may be. That's a huge market, not just in Sierra Leone, not just in Nigeria, but I know in the US, it's across the world. The real estate business is a huge business, but people should know you for a real estate mogul. People should know you as a go-to person in real estate, and not today you are selling. Today you are selling real estate. Tomorrow you are selling cars. Next tomorrow you are selling food. So people should actually know you for a particular thing. Hold it at the back of your hand. I do music, but now I do music for the passion. I can't say I'm a musician. I will never tell you I'm a musician, and you'll never see me as a musician. But once in a while, I go out, I sing, I play the guitar, I just play around. But I do that for relaxation, and music is more like a first love for me. I was going to be a musician, but then I dropped it along the way. So I do music. So people should not know me. So my story is, there was a time when people actually knew me as a music artist back in my school days when I just left university. I would sing at concerts, I would sing at shows. People still knew me as a fly that sings. But along the line, I had to consciously take that away from the minds of people that no, I am no longer the musician, I'm no longer that artist anymore. I am now a media consultant, I'm now your media person, the person you want to go to if you need any kind of media job. And talking about, see, what integrity can do for you. Yesterday, I got a call from Germany. The person is coming to Nigeria for the first time, and she wants to do a job in Bayelsa. I was recommended to her by someone I had done business with. And if that business didn't go well, if the person didn't trust me, they would not recommend me. In fact, I have a meeting with the person at 4 o'clock today. Okay, she came in from Germany yesterday. So we are meeting at 4 p.m. today, 4 p.m. Nigerian time. So these are the kind of things you want to keep up with. You have a plan, be consistent, have your integrity in check, and there is no textbook principle or procedure to succeeding in business. Understand what works for you. Understand what works for you at any time. There's no textbook written anywhere that you can actually say, oh, I'm applying these principles to run my business. Have your plan, but understand what works for you. Understand what works for you. Understand your markets. Understand the people you want to serve. And also, importantly, give people value for what they pay you for. The only way you can give people value for what they pay you for is if you know your onion, if you know what you're doing, if you understand what you're doing. That's why it's also important that as an entrepreneur, you learn every day. You keep on learning. Sometimes you learn, you fail, you pick up from there, you learn. Learn from people who are ahead of you. Learn from people who have gone ahead, who know more about this business. Learn from them. Understand your business very well so that when people engage you and you engage them, they will know that you can actually bring value, especially for those of you who are in the service providing businesses. Like the kind of business I do is service provision. We provide services, we do not sell products. If you provide services, you want to be sure that you know what you're doing at every time so that when people come to you or when you go to market yourself to people, you tell them exactly what they want to hear and more. So you need to be sure that you know your onion, that you know what you're doing. I keep saying that I do not have my first degree, my graduate degree in media. It's in engineering. But I have done countless media courses. I have done countless media courses both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. For every profit you make, there should be a certain percentage that is kept aside for personal development. I'm attending a course again in July, somewhere in Lagos. in December, in October, I'm attending. Okay, Ellen, and I'm attending the NAB, the National Broadcast Show in Las Vegas in October. Yeah, that's because there are certain people I want to meet there. Of course, they've gone far, far, far ahead of me in what I do. So I need to meet certain people there. I need to look at certain things I need to get from there. So at every point, you need to keep points aside for personal development so that you can move from point A to point B. Learning never stops. It continues at every time, every day. Right now, I'm speaking to you from my office. My business has grown from where we started to, I have about 10 staff presently. I have about 10 staff presently in my business place where I'm working. The plan, my future plan is to open a branch of my business in Nigeria's capital city, that's Abuja, by the second quarter of next year. That's by the second quarter of 2022. So I keep saying plan, I have a plan. So the plan is to open a branch of the business in Abuja. Abuja, the capital city, is where the big box is. That's where the big money is. So I want to go there, open an office in Abuja, and because I've been able to get the structure, of my business right here. So that's one thing they also want to look out for: set up a structure, a functioning system that works, whether you are there or not. You understand? Look into setting up a structure, a system that works, a system that does not need you to be presently on ground for business to run. So that's one thing we have been able to achieve in the past 2 years. I've taken my time to set up a structure in the last 2 years. So the structure is set. I can decide to get up and open a branch in Abuja tomorrow and leave the business in the present location to run for as long as it can, because there's a structure that runs itself from here. So that's one of the things you want to look at. Set up a structure, get people, mentor them. See, the thing about mentoring people is that at the end of the day, they take the loads off your shoulder. So you do not just want to jump into business. While you look at your mentors, you also want to be sure that you're mentoring somebody behind you. So I have a lot of people that I've mentored. I have a lot of them that I can actually send to places and, okay, represent me here, do this for me here, and they will do it perfectly. So these and a lot more. Like I said, lots of mistakes have been made, but what I keep doing differently is I look at the mistakes, I look at what I didn't do right, and I get up, I do them. I try to be flexible as much as I can every time. Every time I try to be flexible in business. I try to be flexible in meetings. I try to sell my services to areas where people have not actually sold such services. So also look at loopholes. There are vacuums, there are spaces, there are loopholes in your communities, there are loopholes around you, in businesses around you, there are loopholes. Look at the loopholes, what people are not doing ordinarily that you can bring, the kinds of value that people do not offer that you can offer, bring them. So do that differently. I look at those opportunities at every time and get them rolling. Talking about the billboards, right now I am the chairman of the Billboard Owners Association in Bayelsa State, where I live. So in this town right now, you cannot erect a billboard without my knowledge. So you want to erect a billboard for advertising, they have to come to meet Silverflame Media. So that's the kind of process I've been able to take myself through. One thing you do not want to do as an entrepreneur is spend your profits. Do not spend your profits. I do not spend money on clothes, on shoes, I do not spend money extravagantly. You need to be able to manage your funds and put your funds back into your business. So thank you very much. I don't know if there are any questions. So yeah, if you have questions, you can ask me now.
Great job. I loved hearing this process. I met Sylvester, I think when you were kind of starting, right? Like years ago.
Yeah. Yes.
So to hear the story, right? And he did, like, let me say something about Sylvester. he does a very good job of staying in communication. We live in 2 different countries, and to this day, all I have to do is WhatsApp him if I need something, or if he has a question, or if there's an event. He's very supportive. He continues to like build his relationships. If there's a connection I need in Nigeria, I can easily ask him. If he needs something, he can easily ask. So he's all like, I was literally taking notes. So I was like, that's a point. That's a point.
Yeah.
So we actually earlier talked about what are the skill sets, character that an entrepreneur really needs to be and have. I think you did a great job in like presenting your story and then presenting those skills and why they're important and how they play out. So for you guys, you have him here, like, you know, I hope you got a chance to really understand his journey and understand that he had not an easy task in terms of building this, right? He's like you guys, got a college degree, and then moved to a whole nother area and then rebuilt himself. So if he can do it, you can do it. So feel free, ask questions. Unmute, you can unmute yourself. We can hear you, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask Mr. Sylvester Sede, what makes him keep on going through all this struggle?
You want to know the truth? Do you want to know the truth?
You get me?
I heard you.
Yeah. What gives you the confidence?
The truth is my background, how I grew up. I did not grow up as a privileged kid. I wanted a lot of things my parents could not afford. I saw my parents struggling through life, you know, trying to put myself and my siblings through school. I saw my parents struggle, and I made a vow to myself that I wasn't going to struggle like this. I made a vow to myself that, yes, I come from a poor background, but I will never be poor. That I wasn't going to be poor. That's why I think that's part of what kept me going, because I knew that there was no room for failure and there was no excuse whatsoever. Where I live in Bayelsa State, a lot of young people depend on the government. A lot of them. But I know depending on the government is failure itself. I try not to depend on the government. I try not to depend on people for the things I need. So these are the things that keep me going. I tell someone that if you pull me out of Nigeria today, take away everything I have, take me to another country, penniless, without a dollar, give me 1 year. I would rise and I will start making money in that country. It's easy. Look around you. There are lots of things to be done. There are lots of opportunities. All you need to do is know how to take a hold of those opportunities. So part of what has kept me going is the fact that I want to build an empire. I want to build a corporation. I want to build a mega media company. And I cannot afford to feel like that. That's why my plans are my plans. I keep tweaking them. I keep tweaking my plans. That's why I said you need to be flexible with your plans. I keep tweaking them to fit in the times. Times are changing. Last year was 2020, and it was a lot of people would say it was the COVID-19 era. But do you know that 2020 was one of the best years for me in business? It was one of the best years. In fact, 2020 was in itself a big breakthrough for business for me. So these are the kind of things you want to think about. Where are you coming from? Who are the people looking up to you? I have 2 younger brothers. I have 2 siblings. I have my parents. In fact, the house I grew up in, the house I grew up in GRA, somewhere, it's an exclusive area in Nigeria. I keep telling myself that, oh, I want to buy this house someday. And it's going to be very expensive if I want to buy that house. And if I'm going to buy that house, I need to make a lot of money. So what has kept me going is the fact that I like money. No, I love money. I love money, but I use my integrity to make money. I do not make money dubiously. I know Nigerians have bad reputations everywhere. I love money. I want to make it in a good way, in a clean way. I want to make it with peace of mind. So what has kept me going is the fact that I have a plan, I have a vision. I know where I want to go already. So I also said earlier that try to see the end from the beginning. Try to see the end from the beginning. So I have a picture of where I'm going already. So sometimes, no matter what happens in between, I fall, I dust myself up, and I keep on moving. I keep trying, and I know I do not ever want to fail. So failure is not a part of my agenda. I'm not going to fail in any way. I do not ever want to hear about failure. Setbacks will come. I'm not saying setbacks. Setbacks will come in different ways, but I can't fail. I want to be able to move. I want to be able to move from point A to point B, from B to C, C to D, and the background, my background, where I'm coming from. That's why it's good to know your history, know where you're coming from, so you know exactly where you're going to. So I know where I'm coming from, and I cannot afford to have my future generation live the kind of life I lived while growing up. So those are part of the things that kept me going.
Yeah, Mr. Sylvester, thank you so much for your presentation. The tutoring, we have learned a lot. It's your relationship. I know where business in general, politics, political arena, have a lot to play in business in general. So I want to know, just like he said, he had an appointment, a political appointment. So I want to know the relationship, the political situation, how does it favor or pose a challenge to your business when you started up earlier on? So I want to know, because in Africa, we all know the political situation in Africa. We have the APC or whatever political situation. Whenever government transition happen, that's to pose a challenge to you as a business person. So I want to know actually the challenge initially when you started doing your business, challenges that the political situation posed to you.
Okay, so if the political situation in Africa is bad, I will let you know that the political situation in the city where I live is worse. Where I live is very, very political. I'm sure for those of you who are in Africa, you know the major parties, the APC and the PDP in Nigeria. So where I live in Bayelsa is about the APC and the PDP. But what I have been able to do is to separate business from politics. I've been able to do that perfectly. So when I started my business, politics and the media, they have a lot in common. The politics and media, they have a lot in common. And I'm in the media business. And one of the biggest markets in Bayelsa is actually the political market. So you have no choice than to mix up with the politicians and what they do. But at every point, you must be professional. That's where professionalism comes in, especially when you're a service provider. You have to be professional. You have to be able to separate politics and business. If I come to provide a particular service for you, I ensure that I'm providing the service for you based on our terms, and not because you want to use me to achieve a political objective. When I advertise my business, when I talk about my business, when I go on the social media, I do not talk about politics. I do not talk about politics. Personally, if you go through my social media pages, you'll never see me talk about politics. I do not talk about politics because people already know me as a businessman. People know me as a businessman in the media sector. So I wouldn't want them to see me as a political businessman. Now, in this town, in where I live right now, if you affiliate yourself to a particular political party, it will affect your business. It affects your business so badly. So at every point, you want to be sure that you are just neutral. You are able to serve everyone, because the business I run is for everybody. It's not for party A or for party B. It's for everybody. So I want to be sure that, oh, Mr. A can come to me and Mr. B can come to me. Now, when I was hired by the present governor, when I was hired by his campaign team to run their media campaign, I also let them know that while I am running your media campaign, I will still also provide services, media services for the opposition party. Because even in the NBC, so the Nigerian Broadcast Corporation, they have a rule. It's stated there as part of the law that you provide a level playing field for every party. So if you are giving party A 30 minutes on radio, you have to give party B 30 minutes on radio. So I let them know that yes, I'm running your campaign. I mean, yeah, I can be in charge of your media campaign, but then if party B comes to me and they want a particular service, my company will still provide a service for them. When I was nominated to become a political, so I'm a senior special assistant to the governor on new media. When I was nominated, a lot of political interest came in. Some people came, oh, they said, oh, he served party, the other party while he was doing the campaign. Some other people said, no, he was doing his business. Why give him an appointment? I did not even want the appointment. I was in my house. I didn't ask for it. They called me on the phone. We are giving, do you want it? I told them to hold on and I would think about it. Right now, I have the appointment, but I am not a member of any political party. A lot of people will think that, oh, he's a member of the ruling party. No, I am not a member of any political party, but I'm a political appointee. And it will let you know, I spend more time in my private business than in the political office. Because I still let them know that I may be taking this appointment, but my business will not suffer. So I spend more time attending to my private business than I do attending to the political appointment. Because even if I'm in the government, I will tell you that if you depend on the government for anything, you will run mad. You will go down. And I try the best I can. I do not use my media platform to promote the government I serve. I don't do it. It's my private media platform. If the government wants to use it, they will pay for it. I won't do it at no cost. So I try the best I can to separate media, to separate my personal business and politics. And I think I have done that perfectly. That's why I also said honesty. Be honest and be transparent as much as you can. And before I took the appointment, I made them know. I made them know how I'm going to run that office. I made them know that I will not let my business over because I'm taking an appointment. So everybody understands. We're on the same page. They know what they want and I know what I want. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah,
I do not mix business and politics. When I'm ready to go into politics, maybe in the future, if I decide to go to politics, I go to politics. But for now, I do not see myself as a politician.
Okay. That one is I think it's okay. I want to ask another question. We all know about policy, when it comes to business, policy in terms of taxation and policy in terms of registration and other things. Policy has been one of the primary concerns.
I can't hear you again.
Genesis, you're on mute. Unmute yourself.
I don't think I can hear you.
Sorry, I was mute,
Yeah.
So I want to know how politics can, policy can be a challenge and also a benefit to business, to your business in general, because policy in Africa, we all know government policy, how they do affect our business, when it comes to registration, the processes involved, taxation and all that stuff. So I want to know initially when it started, because many small business, as soon as it started, you need registration, certain certificates and other processes, the processes are so much that you have to, it's very time consuming going to that. Sometimes it do pose a backdrop, to your business. When you want to actually embark on a big business, you take a look at the government policy, the taxation, the government structure. And so I want to know actually, initially when it started, how does policy affect your business, or how does it pose a challenge?
Okay, so to answer that question, think ahead. So before I left my job, when I started business, before I left the job, I had registered the business. I did not leave the job and then I started the business, or I started or start registering the business before I left the job. Before I left the job, I registered the business like 6 months before I left the job. So I had a plan already. I had registered, and of course, at then I just registered the business. I knew the kinds of clients I was going after, and I knew that such clients would not do business with me if I was not recognized by the government itself. So I had done that registration, and I did my assignments on what I need to gather. But even at that, when my company started doing major jobs with the federal corporations, especially the big companies, because they are regulated by the federal government, there are certain documentations that they needed to have. So the first time when it happened, we didn't have those documentation, especially the tax papers. So in Nigeria, as the case may be, you can actually continue doing your business without paying taxes. You can do your business without paying taxes only if you're a small business. But there are certain kinds of business, or there are certain kinds of deals you cannot handle unless your tax papers are complete. So we had started for about a year plus, and we didn't have those tax papers. And then we had to go after a bigger job, and they requested for tax papers and the rest of them. So I had to go to the tax company, FIRS, who in charge of tax. I went to them with our papers, and so at that point, what they now do for you is to calculate all the tax you have not paid. So if you don't go to them, they will only come to you. But the moment you go to them, because you need that paper, they calculate all the tax, the backlog of taxes you've not paid, the areas of taxes you've not paid. They calculate all for you and say, okay, before we give you the tax papers, you have to pay everything. So yeah, so at first we went through that. We had to pay the backlog of tax. Well, we paid everything and we got the papers, and we did that business. But going forward, that's why you keep learning. So I now realize that, if I really want to do business as a big player in the media industry, serving these corporations, the government agencies and the rest of them, I needed to do all the documentations. And documentations were quite stressful, and they are expensive. They're expensive. So what I do is every year, beginning from, I think we started that last year, 2020, no, it's 2019. Every year from January, we make sure all our documentations are intact. Our tax papers, insurance papers, everything. So we spend, my company spends about ₦1 million. That's about $2,000 to $3,000 at the beginning of every year to ensure that all the documentations are intact, because anything can happen at any time. Someone can call you from Abuja and say, "Oh, can you bid for this contract? Want to give you this kind of job, but for you to get this kind of job, you need all your documentations complete." So we try the best we can to have all the documentation set from the beginning of the year, so that it gives us a smooth ride till the end of the year. And for my kind of business, there are certain professional certifications that are needed. For example, the APCON. The APCON is the Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria. There's the NIPR, the Nigeria Institute of Public Relations. So there are certain professional certifications that you also need to put in place. Else, you will not also get jobs from clients. So take your time. Take your time. Understudy the kind of business you're doing. Look at the necessary certifications that are needed in those sectors. Get them. Register your business. Get all your papers. Make sure your papers are all set at every time so that you can actually engage with people, engage with clients. When you start a business, you want to be sure that you are engaging with the right market. The right market is simply the market that gives you the kind of profits you're looking for.
I think, Mohammed, you had a question after Genesis? Samuel, you have a question?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Can you unmute yourself?
Hello?
Samuel, you said you have a question? It's kind of loud.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Sylvester, as the managing director, I want to know, how do you keep your team motivated despite conflict and obstacles in your company? How do you keep your team motivated? How do you keep your team motivated despite the conflict and obstacles?
Samuel.
Yeah.
If I get you, what you're asking is how I keep my team motivated,
Samuel,
right?
you're having a problem.
Yeah, I think that's what he was saying.
So,
how do you keep his team motivated?
Okay, so I mean, keeping the team motivated is simple. Treat them right. Treat them right. Appreciate them when they do a good job. Appreciate them, and do a bit more. I know, yeah, you employ people and then you pay them salaries at the end of the month, but there are times you just, when you're in the good mood, you can give them a bonus out of nowhere. It's, oh, okay, it's the weekend. Take this amount of money and have a good weekend. So it's easy to keep your team motivated as long as you're not a greedy boss. If you're a very greedy boss and you want to keep everything to yourself, then that's fine. But if you're not a greedy boss, you motivate your team by ensuring that they learn the right things. When they don't get things right, you scold them, you correct them, but correct them the right way. You appreciate them a lot when they do things right. Learn to appreciate them. Saying thank you, I appreciate what you guys are doing. It's good enough, you know. Calling to check up on them when they have issues, when they have personal problems, and they come to you, attend to them. You know, be there for them. It's kind of having a family on its own. So you have to having the team motivated is keeping them as a family. Understand them and let them understand you. You know, for me, I can be a difficult boss sometimes, but I'm very soft. So show them your hard side, but also show them your soft side. You know, let them know you can be there for them, encourage them when they get things wrongly, even when you are mad. Also correct them and let them know they can do it this other way. So it's quite easy to keep the team motivated. People like money a lot, so once in a while it doesn't take a lot from you. So what I do is every week I don't wait till the end of the month. Every week at the weekend, while everybody's going on for the weekend, I just give them something little in their pockets, okay. Or I just call the manager and say, okay, take this amount of money, distribute to everyone that came to work today. So what I do is I stay late at in the office on Fridays. I stay late till about 7 p.m., 8 p.m. ish. And there are a couple of staff who do not go home because I'm in the office. So those ones who stay till late as I am, I ensure that they do not go home empty-handed. So just appreciate people generally. That's it.
Is there anybody who hasn't asked a question that wants to ask a question? Because I do want to respect Sylvester's time. Thank you so much. I know we're going over. So Abdul, do you have a question, or Mohammed? You can just unmute yourselves. There you go.
We can hear you clearly.
For me, I want to Sylvester Sede. You've done a great job in trying to cope with all those things, the difficulties you've gone through, the trials, everything that you have gone through, just for you to be where you are today. And as you said earlier, you haven't achieved everything yet. You want to achieve more, as you said. So I just want to recommend you in trying to do that. I think that is a great example for us as well. For those of us that haven't reached where you are, that have some ideas that you want to put up, I think all what you've gone through is an example for us to proceed with ours as well. So I just want to recommend you and the great job you have been doing and you are intending to do as well. So thank you for sharing these information of yours to us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and then Mohammed, do you have anything you want to ask? Okay. Any last burning question you guys want to get out of Sylvester? Is there any last question? Someone's like, I really need to know this before he goes. No? Okay. Sylvester, do you have anything kind of you want to wrap up and say to them?
Well, not much. I think I've said everything I was going to say to you guys, and just keep the dream alive. It's easy to give up. In Nigeria now, there's a new. In Nigeria, we keep on bringing different kinds of slogans. So the present slogan right now is "I'm a give up." It simply means you only give up if you're a fool. So you have a dream, you have an ambition, keep it burning. There are lots of ways you can achieve it. So keep the dream alive. You want to be sure that the plan that you have, the vision that you have, is intact. A lot of people will talk you down on it. I had people coming to me to say, "Oh, it's like get a job. Like just go get another job." But same people today, they run to me for assistance. So people will not always believe in you, but there are a few people that really believe in you. But most of all, you need to believe in yourself and the things that you want to achieve. And while you're waiting for the right time to start, ensure that you equip yourself with all the necessary tools that you would need in terms of knowledge, getting the right knowledge, networking with the right people. I do not joke with my network of people. Some years ago, when I met Ellen, she introduced me to Kayode Adebayo. And my relationship with Kayode Adebayo is as good as my relationship with Ellen today. So I do not joke with my network of people because sometimes they're the currency you need to achieve the things you can achieve. And well, I wouldn't want to speak for the context of Sierra Leone. There are a lot of things you can do without money. A lot of young people who are going into business, the excuse they give these days is the fact that they do not have the kind of capital that they need to start a business. But there are lots of things you can do without money. So when you start your business, your first aim should not be because you want to make money. Look for problems, look for the solutions for the problems, get the solutions done. Sometimes I have done a lot of jobs for free at no cost. At no cost. In fact, that was what made my company handle the media campaign for the governor, because there was a particular politician I kept doing things for free for him. He ran the Ministry for Youth Development, and then he ran the Ministry for Labor and Employment. I kept providing media services for him, and then he would say to us, "Oh, I don't have the money. The money is not there. The government is not giving us money." And for some reasons, I liked him as a person, so I just kept doing the things for him. And then he was the one who recommended us to run the media campaign for the government. And he has been, in fact, he has been a huge blessing to the company so far. So you want to be sure that it's not every time that you ask for money. There are times you do provide services for at no cost. Just provide the services. If you see that the client can't pay you, do not fight with the clients over debt that they owe you. Let some things go. It's life. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. One thing I've learned in life is to accept my losses when they come. When I get losses, when I lost a particular thing, I accept it. I try not to regret it. So accept your losses. Let it not be about money at first. If I let it not be about money at all, the money will come definitely, but it will be about money. Focus on the problems that you are creating solutions for. Get those solutions done. Get your market and go into business. There are a lot of things you can do without money. For those of you who have actually who have actually decided what you want to do, you can still reach out. We can talk after now, and let's go through it together.
Thank you for saying that. Sylvester, hold on. Thank you for saying that, because we did an initial survey when we first started, and a lot of people said, I'm looking for capital, right? And it's not just in this group, it's every group I've ever worked with that are young people on the continent and in other markets, right? We always think that the first thing we need is the money, but like you said, do the work for free so you can show someone the value. Like me personally, I have the same, yeah, exactly. I have the same experience. A lot of the work we did, there were government agencies for free. Like one of my first projects I did was for the FBI for free. The FBI is a federal agency in the US government.
Yeah.
I did the work for free, right? But because I did the work for free, I did it well. The director at the time told me exactly the steps I need to take. He was the one that pushed me to start my business, right? I've worked for so many like nonprofits, governments for free because I wanted to test myself too, right? Like, can I handle this level of pressure? Can I do this work? And what do I need? What are the skills I need to build inside of myself for? And then it introduces you to people, right? People in those markets, those networks, and they come valuable. Now, as you grow, you can now actually say, hey, I worked for this. Here's all my references. Now you can charge them the price you want, right? So it's not the money that comes first, it's showing the value. And once people see value, then they actually are willing to pay you for it, right? It's not give me money first and then I'll show you value. It's show you value and then that value will then produce funding, right? Yeah, exactly. And two, like you said, your network really is your kind of currency, right? Because I can introduce you to one person. Maybe I don't bring you the money, but I can introduce you to someone who becomes your client. And then that person can introduce you to someone else that maybe becomes your next client, right? So it's all of these things. But I have to say, you were like an amazing presenter. Like I never had to sit into any of your like sessions, and I was like, I'm sitting taking notes. Great job. So thank you so much for sharing. And is it okay if we can share your email with them if they wanted to reach out, ask questions?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So
you can share my email, share my WhatsApp number. I'm always available.
He's he's like, he talked about mentors. he's somebody that you definitely want to get to know, put into your network, have someone in your pocket just to talk to. Like listen, wealth of information. This is somebody you definitely want to follow online with Silverflame Media, and just connect. The whole purpose. So I'll tell you just really quickly the reason we started this was it's that basic outreach. Samuel reached out to me, telling me what he was interested in, saying that he had a group of other young people around same age, same university that were interested in. And I said, okay, if you guys are interested, I'm willing to make the time. And also, I don't want to be the main, I could do an hour of discussing entrepreneurship, but I think it's more important that you hear about it from guys like you who are in the market, who are local to the market, who face the exact same challenges in different countries or locally. And that way it's more of a clear example. And you're young, you're not 50, 60, you haven't been doing this for 50 years. You know what I mean? You're still a young man doing this. So you're very close to what they are in terms of age and in terms of experience, marketplace, things like that. So, that's kind of where we started. And I'm a believer that people who are serious will show up, right? So we have WhatsApp groups 18 young people. And it's interesting how it's always the same guys.
It's always like that.
It's always like that, right? But to me, you give value for the ones who show up, and then you don't, and then they blossom into something.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, good job.
Thank you again. I appreciate you. I'll follow up on WhatsApp with you. And thank you guys. So
all right. Thank you very much.
You guys have a great rest of your day. All right.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Have a good one. Have a great weekend.
Okay.
And I'll share the recording and a follow-up email, and I'll share Sylvester's email.
Thank you very much, man.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you guys.
Thank you too. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it a lot.
Very welcome.
Thank you too. Goodbye.
We'll see you guys next Saturday.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
Okay.